Hey everybody, this is the intro, and in this tutorial we're going to be going over the do while loop. So what the do while loop is it's sort of like the while loop, but it has a little bit of different syntax to it, and we'll go over that right now. So what we're going to type in is do and a body of code, and this is the do part of our loop. So after this we type in while and a set of parameters and a semicolon to end the statement. So this is the syntax for a do while loop. Basically what this is it's sort of like the while loop, but instead of just running the code over and over, it's sort of like a it's sort of like a easier way to do it. So we can do or run this set of code while these parameters are true. So when these parameters aren't true, we're going to stop running that code. So for example, if we have cout x plus or x minus y minus z, and we just have some variables, integer x is equal to 5, or let's just put 500, integer y is equal to 200, and integer z is equal to 6. So basically what we're saying is, okay, do this or see out this arithmetic operator while some test is true. Now, as we learned before, you cannot declare initializers inside of a while loop. They have to be declared somewhere else. So we're going to go ahead and declare our initializer, and I'm just going to name it in, close it out, and we're going to say while in is less than or equal to 150. I want to keep doing this operation and sending it out to the user. So we're just going to put an answer, give it some room, and in the line after the calculation. And there we go. So do this code while in is less than or equal to 150. Now, if you're thinking about it, you're thinking, okay, in doesn't have a value. Obviously, you have to give it some type of value. Sorry about that. So, in doesn't have a value. We're going to set it to 0. So, in is equal to 0. While in is less than or equal to 150, we're going to keep running this code. And, of course, we need an incrementer so that it can eventually reach 150. So, after we declare our in variable, we're just going to say in plus plus and use the semicolon to denote that we're done with this command. So what we're going to do is go ahead and run this. Just give it a second here. Alright, there we go. So what we're getting is answer is 294, and the variable in is incrementing every time by 1. So it'll display this answer 151 times, because remember 0 is an object. But as you can see, it doesn't stop. And the reason this doesn't stop is because it said, okay, in is equal to 0, because remember the compiler reads from top to bottom, and the initializer went, so it said, okay, it has a way of initializing to equal 1, but it's not inside of our while loop, so it's not going to keep incrementing, if you get what I'm saying. So the loop isn't running this function, therefore it's just going to do it once. So what we're going to want to do is just close this out. We're going to take this incrementer, delete it from here, and then put it inside of our while loop parameters. So we're going to have while, comma, and then in plus plus. And of course we don't need that semicolon. And what this will do is it'll say, okay, every time this do while loop runs, it's going to keep running and keep running and keep incrementing, instead of writing it outside of our loop where it would only increment it once. So this would be good if we were doing something else. So I'm going to show you this answer first, and then we'll go over something else. So build and run it. And there we go. So the answer is 294. And the reason we are getting this answer actually is because this has to be declared outside of our parameters. So sorry about that again. I'm really clouded right now. So IN++ has to be inside of our do, because the do part of the code is what the compiler is actually going to keep doing over and over, and the while is just the operator that says until we reach some point in our test, then we're going to keep running this code. So put the IN++ inside the do body and leave while as it was, and then just rerun that code. So I'm just going to close this out and build and run it again, and we should get the perfect program, which should be 151 outputs because 0 is an object. So as you can see, it ran, we got our 151 answers, and there was nothing wrong with our code. And the last thing I want to show you is that we can actually increment anywhere. So I'm going to delete the while or the do while loop really fast and just show you something really fast. So if I take I or any integer value or any number value, I can increment it, and while the compiler is reading it, it won't increment the actual value until I display the incrementer command. So I'll show you right here. So we have just one simple integer, and we're going to see out that integer. And actually I'll just write in here integer, give it some room, and we're just going to output 0, okay? So after we output 0, I'm going to add an incrementer for that variable. And then after that incrementer, I'm going to go back and I'm just going to output that integer one more time. So integer after incrementing, and we'll just do the same thing, enter the name of the variable and in the line, and run this code and see what we get. Okay, so as you can see, the incrementer took this value and added 1 to it, but only after we declared our incrementer variable or command. So when our compiler was reading, it said, okay, we found an integer IN that's equal to 0, and we're going to output that to the screen. So it outputted 0, and then after that added the incrementer operator to add 1 to it, and it said, okay, now you've changed the value of IN to 1, since IN++ is equal to the initial value plus 1, and we got the value 1. So 0 plus 1 is 1, and we can keep doing this. So I'll just show you one quick more time, because this is really important, incrementing and understanding how these values coincide with one another. Sorry. So integer again, and we'll just give it some room, and the line. Oh, actually we have to put the variable in there, and end the line. So we have another increment, and we're going to build and run it. Okay, so there we go. So we get our first value, our initial value, after the first incrementation, what happened, and then after the second incrementation, what happened. So after the second one, we got a different value again, which was 2. So that's basically how do-while loops work, and a little bit on incrementing. So thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.